So I was trying to think of more films that came out this year that I could review, and I was going to go for things like Wonder Woman or Power Rangers or Trainspotting 2, but I realised that in my last video, my Beauty and the Beast review, I mentioned that I like those films. It was very brief, it wasn't great, but you know, I said in the last video that Wonder Woman is my favourite film of the year, I said that Get Out is really good, so I figured I would go with one that I did not mention, and one that honestly I forgot I'd watched. The Bye Bye Man. I'm going to enjoy talking about this. It's less of a film and more of an experience. So the film begins in 1969 and a guy is going around and killing his neighbours, asking them if they've told anyone the name and then shooting them with a shotgun. And he's repeatedly saying the phrases, "Don't think it, don't say it, don't say it, don't think it," and he's referring to the name. And yeah, essentially he's going around killing these people, and then it cuts to the present day. Now, this was a mistake, for one. The part in 1969 at the beginning wasn't well shot or well acted, and it didn't look very good. It looked like a student film, but it was interesting. And I was like, oh yeah, this will be really cool. Set in the 60s, nice. It's not set in the 60s. So a dude in the present day, a dude and his girlfriend and his best friend are all moving in together. They are going to university together and they are moving into an off-campus house where they can live while they study. And it's like a really weird, old, big house, obviously, because this is a fucking horror film. The girlfriend and the best friend, incidentally, are both English actors who are not playing English characters, but you can tell are English actors because their accents really aren't god tier. At one point, Sasha, the girlfriend, starts developing like a weird cough, and Elliot starts finding coins, or he finds a coin on the nightstand and he puts it inside the nightstand, but magically it ends up on the floor. Spooky. And so they decide to do a seance with this girl who they invite over. They do the seance, and at some point the name is mentioned. The Bye Bye Man, which, can I point out before I resume with the review, is not a good name. They would try to come up with a name for a horror villain, and they were like, The Bye Bye Man, and multiple people approved that choice. So that's the standard of filmmaking that we're dealing with here. The concept of the Bye Bye Man is actually really cool. Essentially, if you know the name and you say the name, then the Bye Bye Man is after you. If you tell other people the name and they start to think it and say it, it's after them as well, and they're also going to die. It's a pretty cool concept, I'm not gonna lie, and if no one knows the name and no one says the name, then the Bye Bye Man isn't after them, or doesn't even exist, because the Bye Bye Man is more of like a concept spirit than an actual physical being, because he can just like appear and disappear, and if no one's aware of his existence, he essentially doesn't exist. It's a neat concept that I was looking forward to, even though I heard that the film was garbage. It got absolutely slated by critics and audiences alike. Everyone hated it. And I can see why, because the concept is good, but that's kind of where the good ends. Obviously, the crew, the main characters, learn the name, they say the name, and the Bye Bye Man is after them, and that's the premise of the film. Things lead from there. Now, the actors are no one that I've heard of particularly in the main cast. They aren't good at all, and like I was saying, two of them really can't do American accents in the slightest, or at least I really heavily picked up on the fact that they were doing accents. Also, for some reason, Faye Dunaway and Carrie-Anne Moss are in this film. Carrie-Anne Moss is one of my personal favourite actors. She was one of the only good things about the Matrix trilogy, and she's incredible in Jessica Jones. Those are the main other things that I've seen her in, and so seeing her in this, I was excited because I love her as an actor. But at the same time, what have you reduced yourself to, Carrie? Faye Dunaway doesn't even really need to be in the film. She plays the wife of the guy at the beginning in the 1960s who's going around shooting everyone. She's kind of an inconsequential character, really, but she's in it. which is baffling. Also, just the set design and the general look of everything is very poor. It seems very low budget, it seems very thrown together. It just comes across as very lackluster and not had a lot of thought or effort or love or affection put into the filmmaking process. It seems like they were making a film to put a film out. Here are some things about this film. These are kind of spoilers, but they don't really count as spoilers because why would you want to watch this film after I say anything in this review? Why would you then go away and watch the film? But anyway, here are some spoilers, I guess. One character is, I'm not even sure who he is, but he is a botanist of some kind, or a gardener, and his name is Mr. Daisy. And one of the characters speaks to him for about 10 minutes of screen time, and then you never see Mr. Daisy again, which is a shame because his name was Mr. Daisy and he worked with plants. The Bye-Bye Man, whenever he's about to make an appearance, you hear a train sound, like the horn of a train, like a toot-toot noise, except, not quite a toot-toot noise, but you hear a train and that's never explained. Also a sign that the Bye-Bye Man is nearby is coins dropping or appearing, also never given a justification or an explanation. It's just a thing, it's just a feature of the Bye-Bye Man, which you're supposed to go, guess that's a thing. The Bye-Bye Man has an animal sidekick, which looks like a quite large dog made of raw meat glued together. You could Google it, I imagine. Doesn't look great. By doesn't look great, I mean it looks like CGI from 2006. A power which the Bye-Bye Man has and possesses and uses in the film, a power that is established and used, is that he can cause erectile dysfunction. That's one of the only powers he has. I mean, of course he has the ability to track people down and kill them and have his cool dog. One of the only powers he has, besides making coins appear and just materializing in places, is the ability to give a dude erectile dysfunction. I think from now on, if anyone says to me, what would your ideal superpower be? I think I'm going to say it would be the ability to give guys erectile dysfunction, just because I think that would be the best power to have. So that's a positive of this film. One of the big things about this film is that the Bye-Bye Man is supposed to be really cryptic, really elusive, really mysterious, and you don't see him very often. He makes about 4 or 5 appearances throughout this film until the end when he's in it for quite a bit, but he makes sporadic appearances in this film. He's supposed to be very, very elusive and mysterious. At one point you just see him sitting in a library. Elliot, the main character, is sitting in a public library, maybe his university library, I can't really remember, but he's sitting in this library and he is researching the Bye-Bye Man. He's looking at some documents about the Bye-Bye Man, and he hears the train. He hears the train sound, and of course that means the Bye-Bye Man's nearby, and so he looks up, and there, across at the other end of the room, is the Bye-Bye Man. Not clouded in shadow, or with his hood over his face, and he's not holding a scythe, and he doesn't have his big meat dog with him. He's just sitting at a table. He has some books in front of him, and he starts to move closer. He starts to appear on the tables closer and closer, and then he disappears. That's my favourite scene in the film, because what the fuck? The Bye-Bye Man, this creepy, elusive spirit, just appears in a well-lit library and hangs out for a while and then vanishes. I give that scene a 10 out of 10. Pacing-wise, this film is poorly constructed. The first 25 or 30 minutes are very, very slow and very, very boring, and not a lot happens. The rest isn't a lot better, but at least it picks up a little bit. Like I said, the acting is garbage. It's shot like a student film, but I don't really have a problem with that objectively. I think that can work really well for some films. It just kind of doesn't for this film. But I think the film would be the same quality of film if it had a really high production value and looked nice. it would still not be a good film. So that's not really a criticism, that's more of just a thing about the film, is just that it looks low quality and like it was thrown together. A lot is left unexplained, a lot is left like up in the air, like the train noise and the coins. It's all very, I want to say mysterious, but there's no sense of mystery, it just doesn't make sense. The cast is really not good, besides Faye Dunaway and Carrie-Anne Moss. And they're not good in it. I mean, they're as good as they can be in a film like this, but they're not good. They're very much hindered by the script and everything else about this film. I realised that in my last video, I said that Beauty and the Beast is the worst film I've seen in 2017. It's the worst 2017 film I've seen. And that's still true, because at least this film was like fun. Not intentionally, it's not like laugh out loud funny, or it's not even supposed to be funny, but I enjoyed it, laughing at it, in the respect that whenever the main female lead, her acting was the worst, whenever she said anything I laughed. Purely just because of how she delivered her lines. Wasn't good. I couldn't, like, Beauty and the Beast was the kind of film that I went in expecting a good film, and was just disappointed and couldn't even go, oh, this is so bad, haha. I couldn't really laugh at it, I could just kind of feel disappointed with it. The Bye Bye Man is very easy to laugh at. You could very easily play it as a drinking game. So it's like a fun time, it's a fun, really shitty, but enjoyable time. So I would say it's better than Beauty and the Beast, but really it's not a good comparison because neither of them are good films. I'll leave this on the same note that I left the last one on, which is just watch a different film. Watch Wonder Woman.